So we get a lot of people asking us about how to connect with Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
We should have already connected with Gen Z
Mm-hmm.
from when they were babies.
Yes.
And so we're actually having to climb an uphill battle here because seafood was not as much in the households of Gen Zers as we would have wanted, right? So how do we think about even further generations down the line and think about this from the perspective of, all right, we're not connecting with Gen Z, but it's because we weren't connecting with them when we needed to be able to connect with them most. When you think about how you eat food, how you connect with food, there's a lot of nostalgia attached to that. So it goes back to what did you eat when you were a kid? What are the brands that you remember when you were a kid? That's going to carry over into adulthood. If seafood wasn't in Gen Z's household, it's going to be really hard to get them in. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's going to be really hard. Gen Z is smarter than the seafood industry gives them credit for. How do I say this? The seafood industry is maybe stuck in a bit of the dinosaur age.
We can say that. I mean, simmer down. But I know some people are going to be unhappy to hear, but I don't think you said anything offside. I don't think you. I think a lot of people are thinking it, and you just said it out loud.
Well, without offending anybody too much, I do want to say that Gen Z is smarter than the seafood industry gives them credit for, and I think we need to try to tap into that a bit. They are tech savvy. They were born with cell phones in their hands, okay? They know how to work a cell phone better than any of us. They speak a different language. If we don't speak that language and we don't have that diversity in being able to understand those younger audiences, then we're already out of the game. But let's think even further than that. So maybe we have failed Gen Z in our ability to connect with them right now. But how do we connect with their kids? We need to get seafood in at an early age so that way they are eating it in their households for the rest of their lives. That is how we build brand loyalty. And I think over the last couple of decades, seafood has done a very good job of actually alienating a lot of these people, Gen Z being one of those audiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're completely right. I always say kids who don't grow up eating seafood don't become adults who eat seafood. We, as an industry, have not made seafood the most approachable protein. And so even as an adult, if you've never eaten this in your entire life, or you've never been introduced to this as a kid, it's not an easy thing. It's not people know what chicken is. They're okay, even if I didn't eat a lot of chicken growing up, they know, they know what it is. They understand it. But seafood is it's a whole other category. And I think if you don't grow up eating it, like you said, it's not impossible, but it is very, very difficult. And as you were talking, I was also realizing Gen Z is also kind of the generation that's having kids now, which sounds crazy, but I'm on the cusp. So I guess they're mid 20s now. And so some of them might be starting families. And so also if you're not marketing to the parents, and we've touched on the busy mom stereotype a lot. If we're not marketing to the people who are buying groceries for the household, we're missing not only them. We're not only missing the Gen Z or the millennial working mom, we're also missing their kids.
Yeah.
And that's a massive missed opportunity.
That's a huge missed opportunity. And the problem I think that we're in now. I mean, I am one of those kids that didn't grow up with a ton of seafood in my household. I didn't. We had salmon occasionally, but it wasn't something I loved. We had fish sticks maybe occasionally. So I am of that category that did not grow up with a lot of seafood in our house. And lucky for me, I was adopted into the seafood industry and married into it. Now it's my whole entire world. But if I hadn't, I probably would not have seafood as a big part of my diet. So how do we tap into that audience of Gen Z and millennials who maybe it's not a big part of their diet? Everybody's immediate thought is TikTok. Maybe I'm the only one in the room here, but I don't think TikTok should be a strategy. TikTok is a tool, but it's not the only tool in your tool belt. And it's not the only place Gen Z is hanging out. Absolutely, they are hanging out there. But with the recent controversy around TikTok, I think we might see this landscape change. But I think more importantly, I think we should be talking about your owned content. What does owned content mean? And how do you get people to click that follow button on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever platform that you are on? I think we should be talking about how do you get people to actually hit follow and not just scroll past and hit like.
and hang out and actually want to be part of the story that you're telling. I think, I mean, that's the secret sauce. If you want to figure that out, you have to hire us.
Hot take.
Hot take.